Thank you for coming. Tonight we're going to talk about navigating food allergy and special dietary needs or special dietary needs. So once he gets this up. My name is Emily Homan, and this is Erica Hansen. We'll go a little bit further into our stories. Before we get totally started, I'm going to read this disclaimer. So any information presented by Aleia Project is for informational purposes only and not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. We are not here to offer individual medical advice. This material is for reference only. A physician or other qualifying medical professional should always be consulted for medical advice and diagnosis. Today's presenters are not responsible and do not assume responsibility for any loss, damage, injury, illness, death, or other negative impact that may occur after reading and using the information contained within this presentation. Oh, stand over. So who are we? So Aleia Project is a volunteer-run 501c3 nonprofit. It consists of myself, Erica, and then Rose Sterling, who couldn't be here tonight. We are 3 local moms. We have 5 kids between the 3 of us who have food allergies, and we avoid 10 different foods in our household. In 2018, Erica and I met, and we actually ended up doing a food allergy awareness walk under the National Food Allergy nonprofit umbrella called FAIR. And we did that walk for 2 years. Rose joined us in the second year, and in 2020, when we had to pivot, we decided to put all of our efforts towards developing this nonprofit so that everything that we did, all the funds that we raised would stay local and that we could do more like this. So we've been able to do community education. We have a 5K coming up on the 27th of May. We've got initiatives going on in Hermantown Elementary School right now, and we're able to do a lot more that impacts the food allergy community right here, which is exactly what we wanted to do. And Aleia actually comes from the names of our kiddos who have the food allergies. So it is Alex, Lorelei, Everett, Ian, and Ava. And then it also just happened to line up with the core values of Aleia Project. So what is a food allergy? A food allergy is a medical condition in which the exposure to a food triggers a harmful immune response. So for most people, eating a peanut or drinking milk is common. We do it all the time. It's natural. It's fine. But to someone with a food allergy, to say peanuts or milk, their body looks at that like a poison. So if we were all poisoned, we would all get equally sick. But someone with a food allergy, that milk or that peanut or that egg, their body is like, this is bad, I need it out of my body. And so then there is a harmful reaction called anaphylaxis, where we will talk about that a little later, but their body goes into this immune response that is rejecting that food protein. Food allergies can be life-threatening, and currently there is no cure for food allergy.
Just some quick facts about food allergy. 32 million Americans have food allergy. That's 1 in 13 children, so that's roughly 2 in every classroom. And every 3 minutes, someone has a reaction to a food and is sent to the emergency room. It's also important to know that hand sanitizers are not an effective way to remove food proteins. Soap and water is the best. Food allergies are recognized by the ADA as a disability. And these are the top 9 food allergies: soy, nuts, sesame, eggs, peanuts, milk, gluten, fish, and crustaceans.
All right, so this is a little about me. These are my two kiddos with food allergy. My daughter is 13 and my son is 16. We navigate around peanut, tree nut, egg, coconut, and soy. My son was diagnosed officially at 18 months. Before that time, we had several accidental exposures, I guess. We didn't know he was allergic, but to peanut and to egg. And his reactions to those things progressively got worse. They started with just a little hive on the face, and over time it grew to, gagging and vomiting. So that is something with a food allergy as well, that every exposure can be different and can increase as time goes on. So the first time he had it, he just kind of felt funny, or maybe he had a little hive. To the second or third time he was exposed, he vomited immediately. And then my youngest, my daughter, was diagnosed officially at 5 years, and we actually found out about her coconut allergy, which is an allergy my son doesn't have. Otherwise, they share the other ones.
These are my kiddos. My oldest, who's 13, Alex, he was diagnosed right around the age of 1. We found out he was allergic to peanut by giving him a little sliver of toast that had peanut butter on it. He broke it out into hives. So he was blood tested and positive for that. When he was around 3, I had him tested for tree nuts. We had been avoiding all nuts, but wanted to know for sure if he had an allergy to tree nut. And he was. And then when he was 8, he had been eating this granola bar forever, the same one. And all of a sudden his body decided he didn't like it. And we found out he was allergic to coconut. My daughter on the left, Ava, she was diagnosed with celiac at the age of 3. So that's an autoimmune disease. It's a little bit different than an anaphylactic allergy in that we avoid all gluten. Her body sees that as, it doesn't take it in as nutrients, it avoids it. So she wasn't taking in all the nutrients, so she wasn't growing and having pain. So
now we're going to go through a few things, what it looks like to manage daily life with food allergy. And the first thing we're going to talk about is reading labels. So a label has to be read. Every label on everything that is going to go in your body or on your body. So we're talking food, we're also talking lotion, toothpaste, shampoo, anything. So every label, every single time. So I've got a couple examples here about what ingredients lists can look like. So this is an example of an ingredient list that has the allergens listed within it. And then here's one that has a contains statement in addition. So all ingredients listed on the package must be in common terms. So if you'll see over here, it just says albumin, which is another word for egg. And it has to be at least listed in the ingredient label somewhere in the common term, because most people aren't going to know what that means. But the contains statement is optional. So you can't just look at a label and say, oh, it doesn't say contains, so there's no top 9 allergens in there. Again, that's just the top 9 allergens that will be listed out. I mean, any food could make someone sick, or anybody could be allergic to any food. You'll see sometimes, like this statement, may contain mustard seeds, sesame seeds. Those kind of labels are completely voluntary. They could just be put on there so that people feel more comfortable. That's okay. They are completely voluntary. Go ahead. It's okay. So those may contain statements are completely voluntary and shouldn't be used to determine if a product is safe. So no matter how many times you've purchased the item, if it's the same, the label should always be read. And I'm going to go through a few examples here. So say you go to the store and you buy this apple pie, and you buy it on week 1, and this is what your ingredient label looks like. It has all the items there in the common terms right within the ingredient list. So there's egg and wheat, and there's milk. So if you've got any of those allergens going on, you know what that's in. So you bought that on week 1, and that's what the label looked like. It was so good. You go back on week 2 and you buy the same apple pie, and now it says it contains wheat, egg, and milk. Okay, well, I don't think anything else changed, but now it looks different. So, and then you're gonna go back again on week 3 because it was wonderful. It's got the same thing, and now it says may contain pecans. If that was me, and we wouldn't have consumed it anyway because it's got egg in it, but if that was our house, I would be absolutely sick to my stomach because now it says may contain pecans, and it didn't say that before. That could mean that well, we don't know what that means. The only way to know for certain what happens is to call a company, which you can do, which we've all done on many occasions. But this just goes to show that this is actually what can happen. So every time you pick up a product, you have to read the label because they don't have to tell you. They can change it whenever they want. They can change ingredients whenever they want. That's the way it goes. Okay. And then another thing for managing daily life is cross-contamination. This lady shows it really, really well, so we're going to watch a little video.
How to avoid cross-contamination? Cross-contamination is when certain foods touch another food or surface it shouldn't, and harmful germs or tiny amounts of allergens are transferred from one to the other. The most common example of cross-contamination is raw chicken coming into contact with ready-to-eat food such as salad, making everyone very sick if eaten. But when preparing food for someone with a food allergy, you need to be careful, not only for germs, but for tiny amounts of allergens being transferred onto their safe food, which would cause them to have an allergic reaction. Some people think that if you pick the allergens out, it will make the food safe again. But this isn't true. Let me make something to show you. Voila, a tasty cheeseburger.
But I'm allergic to milk.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take the cheese out.
But I'm allergic to wheat.
Oh, okay. Not a problem. I'll swap the buns for wheat and gluten-free ones. Wheat and gluten-free buns.
But I'm allergic to sesame.
Not a problem. I'll just pick them off.
But I'm allergic to egg too.
Ah, the burger is 100% beef. So there's no egg, there's no wheat, there's no milk, and there's no sesame. Ta-da! One free-from burger. This burger has been cross-contaminated. Confused? Let's take a closer look. Before I switched the food over, the allergens were dusted in special powder. This special powder glows in certain lights, so you can now see where the food has touched and traces of allergens are still there. But it's not just food that's been contaminated. Cooking equipment, surfaces, plates, and my hands have also been contaminated with allergens, making the burger unsafe to eat for someone with food allergies. How to avoid cross-contamination? Always keep allergens away from safe food. Wash your hands and surface areas thoroughly with soap and warm water. Use separate cooking utensils and equipment. By following these simple rules, we can all feel safe digging in. Find more free from fun on Allergy Adventures.
.com
or click on another.
The next topic is managing daily life with the medication. So when you're diagnosed with an allergy and it's anaphylactic, you leave the allergist with an EpiPen, which has to carry with you every day, everywhere you go. So this is an example of what my son carries with him. That's his medical pack. He's got the 2 EpiPens in it, which would be treated for an anaphylactic reaction. He carries an antihistamine, and then he also has asthma, so those are his inhalers. Another key piece is just communicating. If you are the one with the allergy, or if you know you're going to be doing something with someone that has an allergy, communicate, know what the signs are. If you're carrying the medication, let somebody know that you have the medication, what to do if you have a reaction. Include the other people in the planning of the event or where you're going, and ask questions.
Okay, so now we will look at what a reaction looks like and how to respond. So even if you've, read all the labels and stayed off of cross-contamination or avoided all that, things can still happen. Or maybe you didn't know you had an allergy in the first place. So signs and symptoms can present themselves in a variety of different ways. And so we're just going to go around the body and look at this. So you can have symptoms in your airway or in your chest, your throat. You can have coughing and shortness of breath, tightening of the throat, swelling of the tongue, difficulty swallowing, chest pain. On your skin, there can be hives or swelling, and overall a full body rash or a small rash, just warmth or redness in the body. Your stomach, there can be nausea or vomiting, diarrhea, pain, cramps, just an upset stomach overall. It can affect your heart. You can faint. People can be pale, dizziness or shock. They can lose consciousness. And also one thing that is good to always remember is that there can be anxiety and confusion. People can feel like a feeling of doom, like something bad is going to happen, something like that. So one of these things can happen. Multiples of these can happen. It might just be a little stomach ache, or it might just be, a hive on the face, or anxiety or something. If someone knows or maybe thinks that they ingested something that they're allergic to, it can be multiples or one. Sometimes we think about it just being this full-blown big reaction all the time, and sometimes that's not how things start. So this is kind of just a sheet of showing what to do. So if there's any of these severe symptoms happening with a person, with anyone, especially if they know that they've ingested something they might have been allergic to, or maybe they ate something for the first time, or were stung by a bee, or anything like that. If something like this significant and severe is happening, the first thing to do is inject an epinephrine. So it's one severe symptom or a couple of the mild ones. So if they have a hive and their mouth is also itchy, or they have a hive and their stomach hurts, or same kinds of things. The best thing to do is inject epinephrine and call 911. Even if it's an adult, or if it's an adult or a child especially, it's always important to call 911 first. You call parents after, because the emergency professionals need to be getting there soon. You can also, while you're waiting, an antihistamine can be given, an inhaler, and just different tips on how to position a person, stay with them, let them lay back. If they're vomiting or not, you'd have them up. And epinephrine too can be given, a second dose of epinephrine can be administered 5 minutes after the first if symptoms aren't subsiding. So that's one of the reasons why you talk about always carrying 2 epinephrine injectors. It's for that purpose. Also, there's operator error. And we'll show those in a minute. People can put them in wrong, or a needle can break, things like that. So it's always important to have multiple epinephrine injectors.
Sure. These are, it's the same medication, it's just in 3 different forms. So the one in the upper left is a generic, just epinephrine injector. And we have samples of all these and we can pass them around. They're trainers, they don't have medication in them. You can see the difference. The one on the right is probably the most common, the one that you've heard about maybe in the last few years is the EpiPen. And you administer them in your thigh. So we always say blue to the sky, orange to the thigh, and then count to 3 seconds. Yep. And then the third one on the screen is an AviQ. These are the latest ones that came out, and they actually talk to you. So they walk you step by step through what to do if you have an emergency and how to administer the medication.
This trainer contains no needle or drug and is for training purposes only. Do not use this trainer during an allergic emergency. If you are ready to use, pull med safety guard down and always black end against outer thigh. Then 2, 1. Training complete.
You can administer these medications through clothing. You know, I guess if you had snow pants and stuff, you would just want to be going through one layer of clothing, but the needle is long enough that it would go through jeans or whatnot. Do you have anything else to add that we missed?
They're all designed to retract, so the needle comes out when you inject it.